Hey guys, in Los Angeles at SoFi Stadium at Hollywood Park, and I haven't gone to Hollywood. I'm keeping it as grounded as ever for you guys about the Texans matchup with the Los Angeles Rams. What a great way to open the season. This is an interesting matchup. And one of the biggest things that I see about this is, obviously we've talked so much about the offense. What about the Texans defense? Absolutely loaded. Are they going to be too much for the Rams to handle? I know the Rams have the wide receivers, great tandem, Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams, and the gunslinger, Matthew Stafford. But what about his back? Didn't do much during the preseason. Irritated disc in his back. I know how that can feel. I've had some back problems before. They're no fun. And Stafford, one of the best, and kind of a role model for CJ Stroud. So will the Texans counter that with a pass rush that's pretty close to the best in the league, if not the best, especially their two defensive ends. What a great tandem. Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson Jr., and they're up against a guy, Alaric Jackson, that had blood clots and missed a lot of time. He's healthy now, he's off the injury report, but he's missed a lot of practice time. So he's not as sharp as the Texans, who had all summer to get prepared for this matchup. And that could be a factor to watch. Rob Havenstein is a solid pro, but definitely not a Pro Bowl tackle. Inside, some good players like Kevin Dotson, and I feel like the Texans' interior is going to be kind of evenly matched. When I look at the Texans in terms of disrupting the timing, they got to have a great marriage between the pass rush and the coverage. They go hand in hand. You need both of them to have a winning combination and to beat a team that's as well coached as the Rams. Sean McVay against D'Amico Ryans, like the old NFC West days when D'Amico was the architect of top-ranked defenses with the San Francisco 49ers. And now he squares off against Sean McVay once again. And these are two of the guys that are really smart, cutting-edge coaches. They get the buy-in factor from their teams and have the strategy down pat. You think about D'Amico and some of the things he comes up with defensively, the way he sees the game as a two-time former Pro Bowl linebacker and NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year with the Texans. And then Sean McVay, so much a master of the West Coast offense and putting his own spin on things. And since we're talking about coaches, let's talk about the debut, Nick Caley, and this overhauled offense, a new look unit that is going to have the same quarterback in CJ Stroud, but with more ownership of the offense. He has learned a lot from Caley, and they've built a strong relationship. Their collaboration, pivotal to the outcome of this game. You think about what CJ can do with a different offense, more pre-snap motion, more receivers, some talented guys in Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel. And you'll need Noel because no Braxton Berrios, no Christian Kirk. They were counting on Kirk, and he's already got a hamstring injury. And the hope is that it's a 1 to 2 week injury, and then they get him back out there. That means he might miss the Tampa Bay game, guys, and perhaps longer. You're always optimistic at the beginning, but the practicality is how long does it take for a hamstring to heal before he can run fast again and not risk re-injury, because you don't want this to linger. So they're going to have to be careful with him. But I think Jalen Noel is up to the task. Jalen Noel, great slot receiver at Iowa State, Big 12 Special Teams Player of the Year. So he's going to have a dual role filling in for both Kirk and Berrios. The other thing that is really on key point here, thinking about the Caley offense, is protection. Because Jared Verse is a monster. This guy's bull rush is unparalleled. And we're going to see how the Texans configure the offensive line. So let me break that down for you. I talked about this a little bit in a separate video, but I want to reiterate the points kind of as we're getting closer to game time. Very important. Ed Ingram has an abdomen injury. He's the right guard, starting right guard. And he's what allowed the Texans to put Titus Howard back in the position he prefers to play, the natural right tackle spot. And for rookie Ariante Ursary, the former Big Ten Conference Offensive Lineman of the Year, for him to go back to his natural left tackle spot. So Ingram was someone that they felt good enough to be the starter in front of Juice Scruggs and to move Titus Howard, where he looked really comfortable to me at right guard, and he was enjoying it. They have Jake Anderson, the new center, and they, of course, have Lakin Tomlinson, the former Pro Bowl lineman, the only former Pro Bowl selection from this offensive line over there at left guard. And what might happen Ingram is on this trip. He made the trip, and he has not been ruled out. There's still a chance he'll play. If he can't go, we expect a line shuffle. And what does that mean? It means Arion Tertiary going back to right tackle, Titus Howard kicking inside to right guard, and then Cam Robinson, the Texans signed to a $14.5 million maximum value deal, going from second string to first string again at left tackle. Lost his job due to injury and because how impressive Ursery is, because Ursery is representing the present and the future of the Texans offensive line. A clear standout. Shut out everybody in the preseason, in the games. Couldn't block Will Anderson, Danielle Hunter in practice. And I wonder, is it going to be similar against Jared Verse? Will he be playing against Jared Verse? Or is he going to be blocking someone else? Perhaps Byron Young. And we'll see how that goes. I worry about the interior matchup just as much as the exterior matchup. And that's because of a fire plug hydrant of a nose tackle at Puna Ford, former Texas Longhorn. Excellent two-gapping, short guy, not 6 feet tall, and just very stocky, like 5'11", 300-pound plus guy. Gets under your pads, gets low, pushes you back, throws you away, and he's a great run stopper, a great tackler too. And he's a very opportunistic guy. He can also rush the passer. Much better than the guy he replaced, Bobby Brown. No relation to the singer. So the Texans' prerogative is try to get this guy blocked. And to do that, they're going to have to get some hats on this guy. Some double team blocks, Jake Andrews, and whether it's Ed Ingram or whether it's Titus Howard and Lincoln Tomlinson, they got to lean on him. Underrated player, does not get the love he should. It's an outstanding value player for the Rams. They're very excited to have Puka Nacua as part of their defense. Other parts of the defense, if you can get the ball out, you can throw in these guys. They have an injury with Akello Witherspoon, and that could be a factor in his availability and his ability to line up with Nico Collins. So it could be different guys going against him. And we'll see how they decide to match up with the Texans' go-to guy. What's the game plan? What is special about the Texans' offense? C.J. Stroud and Nico Collins, that connection, a potent connection, one of the best tandems in the NFL. Great passing touch from these guys, great chemistry, good friendship. How about that? An Ohio State Buckeye and a Michigan man, Michigan Wolverine, Nico Collins, not only get along, but making some music together, beautiful music as a passing tandem. Love watching these guys throw the football, a lot of fun. And we're thinking about some other factors in this game. We're thinking about the defense and this matchup between Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams, as good a receiving tandem as there is, both prolific route runners, can catch the football very cleanly, make contested catches, and then they're up against two of the better young corners in the NFL. Derek Stingley Jr., the Texans' $90 million man this offseason, great contract negotiated by Nick Caserio and David Mulugeta, and Kamari Lassiter, who shut down a bunch of guys, but he did allow a touchdown pass to Aaron Rodgers to Devontae Adams in that loss up in the Meadowlands. And Devontae Adams, he shifted inside to the slot, and he made a big play. And that's the kind of thing they have to avoid. We'll see how much the C.J. Gardner-Johnson rust factor hasn't played a lot of football lately because he had that knee injury. And, I can't really tell yet, is he 100%? I kind of feel like watching him, doesn't feel like it. Maybe he's not totally comfortable yet. We'll see when the game starts, what is his movement like. And then, of course, Jalen Petrie, hard-hitting nickel, but you want to avoid getting him isolated against the Nacuas and the Adams in single coverage. What you hope for is for the Texans' standpoint is to turn this into more of a physical game where there's stuff in the run. They have a good running back in Kyron Williams. He's a tackle breaker. And if they can do that, they can try to make the Rams a bit one-dimensional. All of this hinges on the pass rush. And I have a lot of confidence in Danielle Hunter, the Euro step or jab step move or whatever he likes to call it. And confidence in his suit game too. And he's inspiring me, so I got my green suit today. I got another one ready for tomorrow, but I don't think it'll be as fancy. I know it won't cost as much as Danielle's haberdashery. This guy's got a wardrobe second to none. One of the best dressed defensive players and players overall in the NFL. And please check out my feature at www.click2houston.com. I had a lot of fun doing something a little bit different, getting out of my comfort zone and writing about something that a player was passionate about and interested in discussing, and talking to his tailor, custom designer, Tom Marchitelli, out of the Gentleman's Playbook out of Hoboken, New Jersey. So Anderson, Hunter, key to the game, how much heat can they apply? And then if they can't get to the quarterback, if they have problems or the quick game gets to them because they're getting the football out fast, they got to tackle these guys. And they're both good after the catch. I know that Adams is a bit older at age 32. He's a 6-time Pro Bowler for a reason. He's one of the best wide receivers to play in the NFL in the last decade. And I think it's a tough matchup, but it's the kind of matchups that you have these sort of corners for. The Texans are built for this as a defense, and they're a defensive team. We didn't talk about Nick Chubb yet. He's got to be able to keep the Rams honest. That means he's got to break some tackles, he's got to get through these holes fast, and he's got to be the back we saw against the Panthers. We averaged 5 yards a carry. I don't know if we're ever going to see 4-time Pro Bowl form from him, and like when he was 3rd all-time behind Jim Brown, Leroy Kelly, and Brown's all-time franchise history. Obviously, the knee injury, a factor from a couple years ago. The broken foot last year. But what I saw from him the last few weeks is someone knocking off the rust, getting confident, planting his foot, and getting positive yards. And the Texans have high expectations for Nick Chubb. He'll need help from Dameon Pierce. I don't know if they're going to use a lot of Woody Marks or Dario Mawale. I think it's mostly going to be the 2 backs, and they're going to play a lot. A couple of roster things here on Saturday. Jakob Johnson, as we expected, is up. They nearly had Jared Wayne up. That was something that they were considering, and they ultimately decided to only have one elevation, and that's Jakob Johnson. So that was kind of understood when they released him and then signed him with the practice squad, that he would be up for this game and probably up for most of the games. And I think eventually he will be a member of the 53-man roster. They only have 2 tight ends. They didn't elevate Harrison Bryant. They're going to go with just Dalton Schultz and Kate Stover. And Jakob can play tight end in a pinch. He can also be someone that can just kind of operate out of the slot and block down on the defensive end or kick out. So he's capable of doing a lot of things as a lead blocker. I think they're going to use him some. We're going to see how many snap counts, how much power football do the Texans play. And special teams, no Braxton Berrios. Like I said, we'll have Jalen Noel, we'll have Dameon Pierce on kickoff returns. So we're watching those guys without Berrios, who's they hope can be back sooner rather than later. Maybe that means Tampa Bay, or maybe it's the week after. We'll see. I can't gauge or predict exactly with hamstrings because they take time. So it's an inexact science as far as like forecasting. When's the guy to get him back? They're back as soon as they can be back. And the Texans are a bit right about that. Actually, very right. Sometimes with injuries, it does create this expectation like, oh, why is he back yet? These guys work very hard to get back. Sometimes they have setbacks like Dameon Pierce detailed. He had a setback with his quad strain at the start of camp, or he would have been back sooner. I thought he looked okay against Detroit, and I think as he gets more and more acclimated to the Caley offense, the more he can do. Caley, this is his former team. He used to coach here at SoFi, tight ends coach, passing game coordinator. He knows the Rams know him. That's another thing to watch, the familiarity factor. I think ultimately it's going to come down to who makes the most plays, who takes care of the football. I really like what he had to say this week about fundamentally sound football and just really taking care of the ball, treating the football like it's precious, because you don't necessarily know the turnover if that's going to ruin the game for you. You've got to operate on the, really the precept that you've got to take care of the football and avoid turnovers completely. And that means CJ Stroud too. Can't be getting picked off. The Texans, I think, are an improved offense. I think they'll be a better offense later than they are right now. We'll be watching the inactives and see who's up and who's down. And is Ed Ingram going to feel good enough? He's got kind of a stomach muscle thing. That's what they call it, abdomen. And so he's dealing with that. But yeah, the fact that he's on the trip itself is a bit encouraging, because if there was no chance he was going to play, he wouldn't even be here. So we'll see what happens with that. We'll be watching all that. So guys, keep it locked here. Thanks for watching, liking, and subscribing to this channel. And we're over 16,000. I'm very proud to say that today, that we reached that number overnight. Flew out here on the early flight. I'll be back on the red eye Sunday night and getting back to Houston. But we got a lot of football to watch, a lot of things to break down. We'll have videos. I'll have written content, of course, at www.click2houston.com. And I'll be on television with Randy McElboy and Nick Mantis, our absolutely great newcomer to the staff. Welcome to the roster, Nick. And I'm excited to get into it all tomorrow as we see what's going to happen. It's just the first game of the year. There's a lot of football left to be played, and whether you win or you lose, you kind of got to really embrace that because it is so early, and we don't know yet exactly what these teams are about. But as Aziz Al-Shire said, well, you show who you want to be, you got to show it on the field. Time for talk is over. Time for me talking about this one, at least for now in this video, is over. Guys, thanks so much. Look forward to our next conversation.